What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I'm partnering up with Mooncat to show you their new Remedy collection, which is actually a set of polishes inspired by the owner of the brand's childhood in Taiwan. Now before we get into the details, if you haven't heard of Mooncat before, they are a nail polish brand based in the US, and all of their polishes are 10 free, meaning they are free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They're vegan, meaning they do not use any animal derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty free, mean they do not test their products on animals. So today's collection actually has 9 new colors in it, and they're all these very ethereal, dreamy sort of shades, and 4 of them are actually beautiful soft shimmers, and then 5 of them are thermal color changing polishes. So depending on the temperature, they can change colors. Now I do want to make a quick note, I have short nails, and a lot of times in videos where I review thermals, people ask me if you still get the color shift if you have short nails or if you don't have a lot of free edge or any at all. And as a person with short nails who loves wearing thermals, I will say yes, absolutely. I find that my nails change a lot throughout the course of the day. If I'm holding a cold drink, it'll usually transfer to showing my nails in the cold state. If I'm sweating, it'll show my nails hot. Sometimes 3 of my nails are in the cold state, 2 of them are in the hot state. It's usually very reactive, so any slight change in temperature will make a difference. Even when like the air conditioning or a fan is blowing on me, I start to notice my tips change. So I am going to show you all of those color changing polishes in water, but you don't need water to activate the color shift. I'm just going to show you with cold and hot water because that's the easiest. So let me dive into the swatches, then we can talk a little bit more about my thoughts on them, pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Mooncat base coat. And I'm going to start off with these shimmers because once you see those thermal color changing polishes, I feel like there's no going back. So let's do these first and then we'll save the best for last. This first shade is called Dewpearls, and this is a really intense icy blue shimmer, and it definitely has a sheer vibe to it. So the more coats you do, the more intense the color becomes, but I started off with 2 coats and I actually really liked the way this looked. The blue isn't too intense, it almost has a little bit of a grayish tone to it, and then we have this gorgeous duochrome shimmer that shifts from blue to purple to pink. But just out of curiosity, I wanted to see what it looked like in 3 coats, and I still got that sheer pearlescent sort of vibe from it, but it ended up making that blue a lot more intense of a color. So I feel like it's just going to depend on my mood if I'm into something a little bit more intense like this, or if I want it to be a more soft wash of color kind of vibe. But either way, I really like this one. Next up, we have the shade Ribbit, which actually might be my favorite of the collection just because I love this green color. So we have, I almost want to call it a honeydew green base. It's just this gorgeous melon kind of color, and then within it we have this really beautiful iridescent blue sparkle, and this is another really soft shade. I felt like it wasn't quite there in 2 coats, so I ended up applying a 3rd, and I just cannot get over how fun this color is. I know I always say it, but there aren't enough green nail polishes in the world, and Mooncat always makes really beautiful ones. I just feel like there's something about this cooler toned green, and it's a little bit soft. It's almost like a pastel, but it's just a little bit more vibrant than that. That just feels so bright and summery and nostalgic, but also a little fruity. I don't know. It's definitely giving me honeydew vibes, and I am one of the rare people who loves honeydew. So I really liked this one. And continuing on with these soft, dreamy, sheer, pearly kind of polishes, we have Murraya's Melody, and this one is a soft yellow shimmer. So very similar formula to Dewpearls in that depending on how intense you want it to be, you can just add more coats. And I feel like my lighting did not do this color justice because where the light hits it, you can see this really beautiful bright shimmer, but where the light isn't hitting it, it looks like more of a sheer shade. So it does look like it's a little patchy on camera, but that's just because of the way my lighting is set up. But the more coats you do, the more coverage you get. So I ended up doing 3 coats. It still gave me that sheer sort of look, but it was still an intense enough yellow on my nails that I was satisfied with how it looked. So this color, it's definitely giving me a little bit of like a Beauty and the Beast vibe, but I don't know, it feels a little softer and dreamier to me. And then the final of the shimmer shades is this one, Momo Yuyake, and this one is a really beautiful pinky base color that has a duochrome iridescent pink to orange shift. So this one's really cool because that pinky color is very cool toned, but the shift in there makes makes it look a little orangey. So depending on how you move your nail around, it's either going to look very cool or very warm, which I always appreciate. I love a nice contrasty shimmer, and this one gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats. And now moving on to what I think is the most exciting part of this collection, which is the thermal color changing polishes. This first one is Koi Whiskers, and it does change color depending on the temperature. So it was very warm in my room when I swatched these, and you can see it immediately started shifting. So in its cold state, this one is a really beautiful salmon coral kind of shade, and then in the warm state, it shifts into this golden yellow beigey kind of color. And the thing that absolutely blew me away about this shade is that it gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats. Now, I always like to do 3 coats on thermal nail polishes because usually the lighter shade ends up showing a little bit of visible nail line, so I like to just be overly cautious, and especially considering that this warm shade is a yellow, which I always just default to using 3 coats. I was just blown away by the opacity. I thought it was incredible. You can't see any visible nail line whatsoever on my nail length, and the color shift is just so beautiful and soft. And then we have the shade Sakura's Serenade, which is actually what I'm wearing on my nails right now and in the intro and outro to this video. And I have to say, when I first saw this one, I did not think I was going to be too enthralled by it. So this one is a really gorgeous pink thermal color changing polish. So in its warm state, it's this light, almost pastel shade, but in its warm state, it becomes this intense, almost neon hot pink kind of color. And what makes this one really special is that it actually has an iridescent blue fleck running throughout. So I wanted to show you what it looked like in 3 coats because that's what the brand recommended for this color in order to get full opacity. But I have to tell you, I am wearing this one in 2 coats and I don't see any visible nail lines. So once again, totally blown away by the coverage here. I think it looks so amazing. And even though this is a monochromatic color shift, I just think it's so intense and fun. You can really see the difference. And I think it just feels like a perfect summery kind of shade in both options. Next up, we have the shade Melonberry, and I have a feeling this is going to be the one that most people are the most excited for because it is actually a pink to purple color shifting polish. So in its warm state, we've got that soft pastel pink. In its cold state, we have this beautiful creamy lavender color. And I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but again, I was able to get full coverage on this in 2 coats and I just truly can't even believe it, especially considering that both of these shades are so light and so pastel, and it's also a cream finish, so it doesn't even have a shimmer to kind of cover up more of that visible nail line. I am just incredibly impressed with this. The shift on this one is definitely on the subtle side since we have both very soft pastel kind of colors, but I just love seeing that difference between the lavender and the pink. I just think it's a really fun color combination. And then we have the shade Flying Nimbus. This is actually another cream finish, which I was really surprised and impressed by because I feel like a lot of times these sorts of formulas are not the easiest to work with, especially in lighter colors, but much like Melonberry, this one really impressed me. So in its cold state, it's this soft pastel sky blue color, and in its warm state, it's this almost white cream shade. And I'm sure you're already gonna know what I'm about to say because I keep saying it, but somehow this one gave me 2 coat coverage for a polish that turns white when it's warm. I can't even believe it. I think that's so fun. I feel like this would be such a cool background for any sort of spring or summer manicure. I feel like it just automatically looks like the sky with clouds in it, and it creates this perfect natural sort of gradient. So it's really beautiful. I'm not always a fan of thermal polishes that turn into white, but there's just something very elegant about this one. It's almost like a little bit of like a wedding vibe to me. And last but definitely not least, we have the shade Jump Jump Bug, and this one is another cream finish and another one that somehow managed to be a 2-coater on me. So this one's a little interesting because in its warm state, it's this soft pastel lime green kind of color, and in its cold state, it's a little bit more of a bluish toned, but on me, it ended up looking like more of a sage green color, and I'm not sure if that's just because I was seeing it right next to that blue shade Flying Nimbus, but in my mind this felt a little bit closer to being a monochromatic color shift. But that being said, I love it. I feel like it's so grassy and fun, and even though it is monochromatic, that color change is very intense, so really enjoyed this one as well. And here are all the polishes. So the top row is all of the regular shimmer polishes, and then the bottom two rows are all of the thermal color changing polishes. And I actually think it's really fun that it almost feels like each shimmer has a corresponding color changing color to go with it. So I thought that was really cute. Overall, it's definitely a very dreamy, ethereal sort of color scheme. It reminds me a little bit of springtime, but we also have a little bit more punchiness to those colors than just a regular dusty pastel kind of vibe. So I thought that was really perfect, but I was just really excited about these thermals. I loved the opacity of them. I loved the color shift of them. I have been having so much fun wearing them, and I'm usually wary of wearing thermals in the summer, but even the one that I'm wearing right now, and I live in an area where it is currently 100 degrees, I'm still getting color shifts because every time I pick up my ice water or every time I'm doing something where my hands are in a cold area, like in the pool or anything like that, I'm getting a really intense color shift. So I still think it's super fun. But yeah, let's talk about these a little bit more. So yeah, those are the polishes, and I have to say I really enjoyed these. It's definitely a softer color palette than I usually expect for this time of year, but I think it works so perfectly, and it definitely has that sort of nostalgia factor to it. Just like, I don't know, that soft, blurry lens of memory of childhood to me. And I know that these memories are specific to the owner of the brand, but somehow they end up feeling like a kind of universal experience through these colors. I will say I was especially impressed with the opacity on those thermals. Usually I end up doing 3 coats on thermals just because the lighter color tends to be on the sheer side, but those I found to be so opaque, even the one that turned into an almost white shade and the one that was described as being more sheer, which is what I'm wearing right now. All of them to me are perfect opacity in 2 coats on my nail length, so I thought that was really awesome. And like I said, I find thermals to be super reactive in general, but as far as brands go, I think Mooncat is the most reactive thermals I own, which is honestly kind of funny because they only somewhat recently got into making thermals, but they are just so reactive and gorgeous, and I always love how much thought they put into both colors, because sometimes you get ones that are like a little bit boring in the warm state, but I thought these were really beautiful and soft and ethereal in both states. So now let's get into pricing and availability. All these polishes come in the usual Mooncat 12 milliliter bottles. They do feature a wide flat brush that has a rounded tip, so application's super easy, and the price does vary based on the formula. So the shimmer formulas retail for $17 USD each, and the thermals are retailing for $18 USD each. You can also get the full set of all 9 polishes, and that costs $138 USD. So yeah, I will link everything down in the description, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think of these polishes? What do you think of the thermals? Are you planning on picking any of them up? Leave it all in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. I love you all, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. I don't know why I picked this would you rather question, but this is, would you rather zip line through a rainforest or swim in a private infinity pool? And I that's an obvious answer for me. I would rather just swim in a pool, any pool, really. I don't think I could survive in the rainforest for more than 5 seconds. Scared of bugs, and I'm not good in humidity, and I just don't think that would be fun. Oh, and I'm scared of heights. I don't like zip lining at all. I hate heights. I've zip lined a few times in my life, didn't enjoy it, never been on a roller coaster. That's a fun fact for you. So yeah, no, I would just choose nothing over ziplining through a rainforest. But if I had the chance to swim in an infinity pool, I feel like that would be cool. I don't think I've ever seen one in real life, but I feel like that would be a fun adventure. So let me know in the comments which you would prefer. I feel like us indoorsy people would probably choose the pool, and the outdoorsy of you will probably choose to go ziplining. So leave it in the comments, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!